Have you ever wondered what it takes to take a demo recording that you've found in your hard drive graveyard, or maybe a live recording from a band, and transform that into a fully produced production? Well, if you're an independent musician that wants to work with a producer, or a producer that's starting out and is curious about how other producers work with artists, then I have something really, really cool for you today, because I interviewed my producer that I hired to transform a song that I had forgotten that I had written, and I found randomly one day. I hired her to take my rough song idea, where I'd only recorded a drum track and some scratch guitar and vocals, and she took that tiny little demo idea and transformed it into a fully fledged production that ended up being close to 100 tracks, and which was fun to mix, by the way. And so I sat down with her and we talked about the entire production process, from when I was looking for a producer to how she onboarded me as a client, and how she actually approached the production of the song, sending me revisions and ideas back and forth while she was in Tasmania and I was in Arizona in the US, and also in Iceland during the summer. So in this series, we're going to talk about all of that. So I'm really excited to share that with you, starting with the first video in the series, where we talk about the initial story of the song, how I found it, and how I found her to help me out. Enjoy. All right, hi everyone. I'm here with Fiona Foreman, all the way down under. I've never actually said that. I've always wanted to say something like that. All the way in Tasmania. And she produced my new song, Home to You, and I'm super excited to talk to her about it and hopefully shed some light on everything that's going on in the song, the production process of working with a producer, and just going from really rough demo to a very finished professional product that I'm super happy with. And I'm really like treating myself as the artist. I wear a lot of different hats at Audio Issues. Educator is probably the biggest one, but I am also obviously an independent artist, a mixing engineer, and all of the online entrepreneur, all of those sorts of things. And it's fun to really put the independent artist hat on. I did mix the song as well, so I'm not completely just the musician, but it's really fun to have worked with someone so completely and have someone basically take whatever babbling artistic vision I had in mind and really finalize that and realize that in such a way. So Fiona, welcome, and thank you so much for working with me.
Hey, Bjorn, yeah, it's been a really great experience. And it was new for me not to mix the song, because generally I do everything except be the artist. I usually have the artist come to me and I'll produce the song and mix it and master it and finalize it and send it to them. And yeah, it's really interesting to split the process up and just be the producer side of things. And yeah, I really enjoyed working with you. It was great.
Thank you. Yeah, a little bit of context beforehand. So, fun story, I had actually forgotten that this song existed. And so one day I was just looking through a bunch of old files. As you work on creative things, you amass hard drives and cloud drives full of stuff. And one of those things is a lot of live recordings from a band that I used to be in called The Long Wait. And I did a lot of documentation of the band when we were together. And a lot of that were just like live recordings of the band, nothing particularly well produced or anything like that. I think it was just like a Zoom H4 recorder in stereo, just to have sort of remnants and memories of that. And good thing I did that, because one day I was looking through, I found an old recording of a show that we did, and I was just curious. What songs were we playing? Like, what does this sound like? A little bit of a walk down nostalgia lane, if you will. And I go through the songs and like, yeah, this song, yeah, and remember this song. And then a song started, and I was like, wait, what song is this? And then it started playing, and I was like, wait, is this a cover? Who did this? And then it's as the song started to play, and as I was listening to it, I was like, wait, did I write this song?
Oh, that's a great feeling, isn't it?
Yes. And I was like, oh man, this is actually a really good song. This I need to do something with this. And I found it at the perfect time because this year I decided that I'd had enough of just telling people how to mix music and how to make music. I felt a little bit of an imposter, a little bit of a fraud, if you will, by not making my own. I've obviously made a lot of my own music in the past, been in lots of different bands, both here in Tucson, Arizona, where I live now, and Iceland back in the day. But I hadn't been doing anything for a while. This year, I actually committed to making more music, and I released 2 songs this year already. So this will be the 3rd song that's released under my artist name, Random Somebody. And the reason it's called Random Somebody is tied to my Audio Issues brand of encouraging independent musicians to make their own music. Because if this random somebody can do it, so can you, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Um, and so I found the song at the perfect time. I was like, okay, this song, let's figure out something to do with this. And I texted my drummer that drummed in the band at the time. And I texted him. I was like, hey, do you remember this song, Home to You? And he texted me almost immediately back. It just, yeah, that song rocks. Do you want to record that? Do you want me to lay down drums for that? And he was
Hey,
so enthusiastic about it that I was like, all right, maybe something is there, because it's good to get external validation for your creativity.
for sure. Yeah.
And so I thought, all right, let's just pick this song to be the next one. And since I have lots of different things going on at all times, I can't really be working on a lot of different songs at the same time. So I was like, all right, let me just pick this song, focus on this song until it's done, and I can release it, and then I'll figure out what's next, right?
Maybe.
And so I took the demo, and then I called Ty, and then I called my friend Steven over at St. Cecilia Studios, who's just down the street here from me, and we went into the studio and recorded the drums to the song. So we had the scratch, guitar, and vocals, and the drum track in its entirety. And then at that point, I had always wanted to work with a producer, like in the new modern sense of the word, because back in the old days, the producer was like the person that came in and told the band what to do, and oversaw the recording session. And now a lot of when you say producer, a lot of that means the multi-instrumentalist that makes the song, that just basically creates the song from scratch, lays down all the parts. And often the producer artist is the same person, but often the artist comes in with something, and then the producer does the rest. And so I was always curious about working with like the modern meaning of a record producer or a music producer. So I went to a place that I've been lurking on for a while called Make Pop Music, Austin Hall's very great Facebook group. One of the more sane groups online, one of the nicer ones for
It's really
sure.
nice, isn't it? I really
Yeah.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's obviously a great guy that's very supportive. His products are great. And I've been following him for a while and lurking in that group, sometimes chiming in with some advice and some comments and stuff like that. But I posted, hey, I'm looking for a producer. I have a song that I need something for. I can't remember exactly what the post was, but I thought, all right, let's put it out into the world and see what happens, right? Because what I've learned that manifestation is a bit of woo, right? But manifestation that's combined with some sort of action often will result in something happening, right?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, let's put it out into the world, see what happens. And I got a few quote bites, I guess. I got a few replies back. But one of the fun things to talk about is Fiona led in such a way that made me really want to work with her. She was one of the only people that communicated back and forth with me in a professional manner. So it was one of the only people that I basically raised my hand in a group of thousands of people and say, hey, I'm looking to hire somebody to help me. And it was amazing how many people failed at following up.
Yeah, it's work, dog.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of that. There's like, all right, what does that mean? And I told people like, hey, email me here, like a little bit of instructions. Hey, I need you to do it this way for me to be able to send me your things, email me at this email address. I'm streamlining my communication through email. Maybe that's not modern enough anymore, but everybody's texting via messenger or whatever. But you were one of the only ones that actually followed through in such a way that made me very committed and very interested in working with you.
Yeah, and
You had
that's
great references, great songs on your site. I could really get a feel for what you could bring to the table, and
yeah,
so
good.
I'm super happy that it worked out that way.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting point because I when I go to am looking to work with people, like if someone says I want to work with you with I need to work with a producer, the easiest thing to do is follow the instructions, and it's really helpful. This person wants to know this, they want to know that, they'd like to hear it by email. Well, just do it, and then it'll help. It'll help your stakes in the game to start with, but it also being a producer is all about following someone's instructions and vision for the song, and it's already giving the impression that you know how to produce just by answering an ad, if you like.
Exactly. And basically that's how that started. That's the background of the song. And so we had a chat like this.
Yeah,
We tried to find time that worked for both of us, which is difficult because of the time zone change. It's what, 9 a.m. your
yeah,
time now?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
4 p.m. my time. But that's the wonderful thing about remote record production is you really don't need that much time together, but as long as you can communicate what you like and dislike, which I did. This song was produced and collaborated with in Tucson, Arizona, Tasmania, and in Iceland because I spent most of the time in Iceland over the summer while you were working on this.
Working. How about that? Yeah, isn't it? It's incredible days, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I'm in Tasmania now. You're in Tucson, and we're talking about music, and we can almost even play together. It's you don't have to be in the same room, the same state, the same country, the same continent or hemisphere. You can produce together. It's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really great. And yeah, so that leads us to, tell me a little bit about, so when you work with someone, what was your onboarding process with me? I know we're going to we talked about clear communication on you basically coming to me for the gig and that working out. Talk to me about and explain maybe like how you work with an artist.
Yeah, you were great in that clear communication. I really appreciate your upfront. This is what I need and this is what I want. So I think I emailed you upfront when I replied as instructed. And I said, Bjorg and I can do all these things. Yeah, I think you mentioned a rock genre. And I said, yeah. And I think you mentioned a singer as well, potentially. So I said, yeah, I'm capable of producing a song from demo to final master in rock genres. Guitars are my thing. You probably can see, and I can see in the background of you as well.
Yeah, there's plenty of them to go around.
Yeah, lots of guitars. We love guitars. And I think I mentioned that I knew some rock singers too, if that was something that you wanted, which didn't come up. So I addressed all the points of what you needed to start with. And then we talked about payment. We talked about budget up front, first thing, because there's no point going down the track and spending out and end up spending 6 or 8 or 10 hours on a project. I can't pay you.
Yeah, totally. That's just like it's maybe like even you could even say that's very kind of disrespectful not to just get it out of the way.
Yeah, and it makes it so easy, doesn't it? Because once, yes, we know we agree on the terms, work, and you don't even think about it again. Same with splits. Get your agreement up front as to what money is involved and what splits are involved, if any. And in our case, I think it's 100% work for hire. I sign off and say the product is yours, basically. You own the rights, you own the copyright to obviously the writing, publishing and mastering. Yeah. So that's really important to me. I've learned to just get that stuff out of the way and then everything's clear. And I've had cases where people are keen to work with you. You start talking about that stuff and they go, and they disappear. That's fine. That's totally fine because you don't want to be in a situation where it's uncomfortable.
Right. And I think there's maybe a little bit of just insecurity in those moments when it comes to those musicians that maybe flake out on you in that way because they just maybe don't know.
Yeah, true.
They aren't familiar with it. They don't know, they're afraid of the law, if you will, and all of that sort of stuff because music is intellectual property, right?
Yep.
So having that up front and being like, all right, and also being clear on what you want.
Yeah.
We went back and forth. Do you want to collaborate on sync and do stuff like that? Or maybe we can start just doing a work for hire, you own it all and whatever. And I was very clear, like, all right, that sounds interesting. We'll certainly like maybe look at that. But let's just do this song where I just hire you work for hire, and then it's going to be this amount, and that's it. Like, no, very clean cut, very easy. And sometimes musicians that might be a little worried about that, they just need to decide what they want.
Yeah, that's right. And I find that really helpful when I'm working with someone for the first time. I think you said that you might have other songs in the future, and often artists come to me with an EP's worth or an album's worth. I say, hang on, let's just do one song to start with, because you might not like working with me, and I might not like working with you, and it might not quite fit or gel. And so don't make some big deal. Let's do a 10-song EP and I'll give you a 20% discount on everything, and then it all turns to rubbish. It's a nightmare, but let's give it a try. And so I was really happy to do that with you and just say, one song, clean cut. If it works, great. If it doesn't, great. We've had a go, and we don't, maybe not a fit. And it's nothing personal. I learned early on not to take anything personally in the music industry. If you like what I do, great. If you don't like what I do, that's fine, because other people do, and there's lots of other people that you'll find that you do. So just finding the right fit.
Totally. That sort of brings us to being very clear on what you like and dislike, because as the artist, like, ultimately you're going to have to stand behind the song, right?
That's it.
The producer can technically, like, obviously can be as proud of the song as they want to be, but ultimately it's the artist's job to then take the song and promote it and do all the things with it, and it's their name on it, and even if you get credited for it, that's just one of your things that you do, versus it's that artist's body of work, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so as the artist, you have to be really honest with yourself about being honest about the song. All right, so we'll have plenty more where that came from in the upcoming videos, where we'll talk about how Fiona got into my head and really tried to decipher what I was trying to tell her, how I wanted things to sound, and all of that. And we'll deconstruct the mix, and I'll open up some sessions for you so you can really hear what we are talking about. I hope you enjoyed this first part of the series. Please remember to like and subscribe so that you don't miss the next one in the series. Really hope you enjoyed this. I'm Björkman Benediktsson from Audio Issues. Thank you so much for watching. Take it easy.